Welcome everyone to another episode of Planet Nerdtooine. I am your host, Nerdtooine. We are going to have a very jam-packed show today, but I want to do a little public service announcement before we get started. We usually try to keep the language and the aggressive tones to a minimum and be very professional. But a few of the topics today are going to get us both heated. And I want to let you know beforehand that this is not safe for work. Hide your children. Anyone who doesn't like foul language or any type of passionate energy, you might want to back off of this episode today. But that being said, this is Planet Nerdtooine, where we cover all things comic books, news, drama, critiques, because we don't do reviews because we're classier than that. And before we get too far in, let me introduce my co-host who is dying backstage. Year of the Collector. How are we doing, my friend?
Fuck, bitch, shit, bullshit, motherfucker. Just get
And we
out of the
start
way.
right off. No. But how you doing, my friend? It's nice to be back on a schedule and actually recording regularly again.
Yeah, no. Hey, make sure you bleep all that because I want to save the f bombs for later.
No, no. We put the warning at the beginning. We can say how many fucks we want in this episode, and we're not monetized at this
we're
moment.
breaking
So
our
what the fuck
three.
does it
We're
matter?
breaking our 3 f-bomb per episode rule.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh,
out the fucking window today.
oh, hell yeah.
And the reason why, let's get right into it. So I have recently got back on TikTok. And I have seen quite a bit already in my short time back. But one big thing that happened recently was a few different creators kind of implied that new comic book day posts are toxic. And I want to first say, literally anything can be toxic. Like, that's just like, there is never anything that is 100% pure except for Brendan Fraser. Okay. Like, that is like the one caveat to that everywhere there is a possibility for that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So, that being said, toxic is a term that is very also very broad and wide, and it kind of gives a lot of things left to the imagination with what you think that means. But let's throw it over to Year. Year, do you think new comic book day posts are inherently toxic?
Inherently toxic as they're negative just for being new comic book day videos? No. I do, however, okay, break down first why creators were saying the new comic book day videos are taxi. Let's break that down first.
So what was really happening is they were kind of implying that when you do a new comic book day post, it's inherently um
A flex.
shaming other creators and other people who can't afford to get all the new comic books that you have, and kind of shame people for not buying a whole bunch of comics. And also, taking a step further, there are a lot of creators that I and Year and a lot of other people have an issue with, who just buy a whole bunch of books and say, yo, this is mid, yo, this is gas, yo, this is
We'll get
that.
into that. We'll
and
get into that.
and we'll get into that. And stuff like I said, started off, anything can be toxic. But I don't think the idea of posting new comic book day posts is toxic in terms of what it should be. Because back in the day, when this was all just about comics and not about creating content that sparks views, we all just were happy to be there. Oh, you got 20 books? Man, I got 2, but I'm really loving these 2. It was not about, oh, look at that. Oh, I feel bad because that guy's got a bigger stack than me. Grow the fuck up. Like, seriously. And this will also tie in with what the other issue that we'll cover in a little bit later. But there's something to be said how some people, for sure, kind of portray that, like, oh, if you don't read the comics I read and buy all the ones that I buy, I'm better than you. There's definitely people that are like
Sure.
that. But I don't think the entire concept of posting new comic book day content is inherently toxic. And now, is there a small group of young, I'm going to say young, rich white people that are kind of being assholes about it? Sure, absolutely. And I think that there's a lot of issues in general with classifying comic book readers in by their skin color. Because like where are we where it matters what color your skin is when you're reading a comic book? It just matters if you can fucking read. I mean, am I wrong? Like I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because I'm not like someone has 30 books on a new comic book day. I might think, man, I wish I could buy 30 comic books, but I don't go online complaining about it. Grow up. Like what?
So
What?
I can see, um, right, if I was to take this, um, will it, because I didn't see the original video from the original creator that made this statement or this claim. I have seen other people like make their, the responses to it, right? Like as because like that's kind of like
Ad
how
nauseum.
TikTok is, right? Like comic book
Yeah.
discourse becomes more about the community more than the comics themselves, right? Like that's what picks up traction most of the time. I can see how uh, when you participate in a trend where the 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 premise of the trend is to to show the stuff that you buy every week. I can see how that can affect certain people one way or another, right? Like, if you can't afford comics and all you see on Wednesdays is people showing stacks and stacks of comics. I can see how that can drag you down a little bit, make you feel bad about your situation, or whatever the case may be. I want to extend my arm to you, and say, if you can't afford comics, hit me up, send me a DM, and I will provide you tons of resources, um, for you to get your hands or your eyes in comics, and you can enjoy them as well, right? That's number one. Um, so yeah, can it be toxic to in that regard? Sure, right? Like it can have a negative outcome in people that want to participate but just can't for the lack of finances, resources, or the fact that they might not even have a local comic book shop, right, in their vicinity, right? Like we know people that don't have an actual comic shop, for miles, for hours. Like they'll have to
Yeah.
live in the middle of nowhere, middle America, in the countryside
Hell,
or whatever the case may be.
when I was living in North Carolina, it would have been 45 minutes to the closest comic book shop,
Exactly.
and then one opened and died within a year. Like that's how.
Yeah. When
Like
when I was in
yeah,
Florida, the part of Florida that I was living at, my closest comic book shop was called TBS Comics, and it was like a 40-45 minute drive, and it was just an expressway basically to get there,
yeah,
or I would have to go to Pensacola, which was like an hour away. So I get it.
right,
Some people can, they don't have the means to to travel once a week to go pick up comics, right? Like not everybody can be or wants to be a Wednesday warrior, right? Like they used to be
right.
called back in the day. So
I haven't been to an actual new comic book day since you know when September 3rd, when I was signing in the store for my comic book. Like okay, that by the way, anyone knows that was the release date of I think it was Batman #1 if I'm not mistaken. Just for
yeah, I think Batman came out that week because we were talking about the blind bags. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yep.
No, but
Side note, but yeah,
so
and
yeah,
it's
that
very true.
I don't know if like I would call that toxic, but it may be, it might have some positive, some negative outcomes on
Oh,
on people's psyche,
absolutely.
that want to participate, want to be in the trend, but they just can't, right? Um, outside of that, if it bothers you seeing other people um, showing what they get every weekend. You know, grow up. Don't if
I
you
mean,
get zero
there
or if
is
you
a way
get
you,
one,
you
and
can just go like this, just
yeah, just
scroll
scroll,
on,
just scroll.
scroll on.
You
Like,
can also do use the not interested feed
yep,
on the FYP, and then you won't see those type of videos. After you do it a couple times. I personally don't have an issue with people showing the books they get every week. I used to talk about the comics I was pulling every week and giving um, getting people caught up with what happened in the previous issue, right? Not to spoil the new issues coming out every week, but kind of like keep people in the loop of what's happening in the series, in the
right,
run, or with the character. I don't do it anymore because I just don't have the time to even like show my books every Wednesday.
right.
I do all sorts of other stuff that take time to 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 complete.
To edit like a god.
Right. So editing,
Guy,
right? Editing
year
takes
over
time.
here
Reading takes time.
looking like he's got a $10 million producer editing his shit for him, but
Uh,
it's
it,
neither here nor there.
it's just a CapCut subscription. No,
Stop me giving people your secrets, man.
nah. Listen, I started to go live to edit videos so people can see how to do it. Like I don't gatekeep any of this stuff. Like people help me out, and I'll help
Yeah.
others whenever they ask me for help. Um. So yeah,
But one thing, real quick, Pete, when you talk about going to the comic book store every week, majority of comic book stores, if you want to start a pull list, you don't have to pick it up every Wednesday. You could, especially if you talk to them, like, listen, I'm 45 minutes away. I'm only gonna be able to make it out here once a week, once a month, whatever. As long as they're cool with it, they'll hold your books. As long as you pay for them, they'll keep doing it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So if that's something that's an issue, think about that as well. That might help you get into a regular where you can get your books and maybe be able to split up the payments too. You never know. Just talk to your comic shop. They might be able to work with you on a lot of things. Like me, I only get a few books a week through an online retailer on Whatnot who I trust because I know he's not going to rip me off on some shit, and he always has the books that I want. So I go to him. He's been treating me really well ever since, and that's how I get my new comic book day because I don't go every Wednesday. You know what I mean? And I also don't post mine because one, and this will also be part of what we talk about later. It doesn't fucking matter. It's no one's business what books I'm buying. Granted, it's a little bit different because we have a podcast, so people have a general idea of some of the stuff that I'm purchasing because we cover it here. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not trying to hide the books I'm buying, but it doesn't matter. So, and like you were saying, if you don't want to see that content, scroll on. You don't want to make that content, don't do it. You're not required to be a Wednesday warrior just to be a fan of comics. And I know some people will be like, "Oh, you see how many books I got? It's if you're not reading this much, then you're not a real comic book fan." Those
So
people are
I
toxic, sure.
right, but I also want to say, whenever like this is me personally, right? Based on my experience, whenever I see a content creator on a Wednesday, right, or just showing the books they picked up for the week, and it's like a super huge stack, I always think or assume that this is somebody that's fairly new to the hobby, right? Because generally speaking, when you start, like you want to take on the world, like you want to
Yep,
see it everything, you want to keep up with everything, you want to read everything, right? um Me, like something I used to do, I would like, and not necessarily that I don't do this anymore, but I have dial it, scale it back, right? Like I pick up my Korean series on Wednesdays, and on the weekends, I will go out and hunt to collect keys, to collect runs, to put series or stories together so I can read them once I complete them, right? Um, when as time went by, my my stack of comics on a weekly basis started to like be refined, be tuned in, because
yeah,
as time goes on, I start to learn about myself, about what I like, about what I don't like, and a
right.
lot of those books that don't necessarily get me hooked, they fall off my pull list, right?
Yeah.
So whenever I see somebody with like, a stack yay high, I'm like, okay, they're excited, they're new into the hobby, they're testing the waters, dipping their toes in different pools, and then eventually I see them, months later or years later, and their pool list have been scaled down because now they're not trying to figure out what's out there. Now they know writers, they know artists, they
Right.
know publishers, they know characters, so they know what they like, and those start to scale down and be refined and tune into their specific tastes, their specific
Yeah.
likes. So
No, and I like that you said that because like I remember when I first started like collecting, I didn't pay any attention to the writers, the artists or anything like that. And then I mean I would pick up these certain types of books and then I would realize that they're all by either the same artist or same writers. I'm like, "Oh, no wonder I like it because it's like Bendis." Like
right,
I didn't know initially how much a Bendis I loved because I didn't care. Like, I didn't bother to look who wrote it or anything like that. I would just read certain titles. And then I'm like, wait a minute. That one, that one, that one. Oh, I like Bendis. Okay. Now, all right. Now that makes sense. Like, and that's something that very good point because I know when I first came back into comics, I was buying on Instagram lives with my one friend, Duffy Boys Comics. Shout out to Duffy Boys. Um, and I would literally go on his live and I was buying everything. It didn't matter. I bought everything. And I, regretted that for a while because I started, it was like $300-400 a week on comics. And that's not healthy unless you're rich or doing it or for if someone's paying for it or something along those lines, which a lot of things, and that's what's kind of happening is, at least I believe, that there are a lot of creators who are getting paid just to go buy books and just go, look what I got. This is awesome. And show it to all their followers, which, granted, I don't have proof of that. I mean, like physical evidence, but I don't care. We all know what's happening.
I
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't have an issue with people getting sponsorships
oh, I don't
or
either.
paid partnerships or just getting some type of incentives to promote certain books, certain comics, certain publishers. I don't have an issue. If you're getting a bag, get your
Get
bag,
it.
right?
Yep.
We in Planner 20 have nothing against people, getting that dough, getting paid, getting incentivized in some way, shape, or form for enjoying a hobby, right?
Right.
Hey,
Especially if you create good content because you should be rewarded for your good content, which I know. Good. I saw it coming. I wanted to say that first before you jumped in.
my personal issue with um, content creation today is that it's very reductive and it's not necessarily doing justice to the medium of comic books itself, right? Like, let me give you an example, and let me clarify this. Full disclaimer: I am if you do these examples of content creation that I'm gonna mention, I am not calling you out. I'm trying to call you in. Okay, keep that in mind. There's this trend type of content that I've seen on social media where a collector, a reader, will like keep a stack of everything they read in a month, and then at the end of the month they'll do a video and they'll show you the stack of everything they read, single issues, hardcovers, omnis, trades, everything, right? And then they'll give you like a quick fire review on everything they read for the entire month, right? And then they'd be like, um, mid, fire, gas, ass, it was okay, it was buns, or whatever the terminology is today. And I generally um, feel that that is doing a disservice to the amount of work that went into those books, whether they're single issues or entire runs, especially entire runs and collected editions, because comic books are an industry, a hobby that is relies heavily on word of mouth, right? And
Yep.
let's say, for example, I'm on the fence about whatever Wonder Woman, right? And you get on you showed up on my FYP and you say, oh, here's my review on whatever Wonder Woman from whoever, and all you say is, oh, it was peak, it was fire, it was gas, and then you move on to something else. You know what that's gonna do for me as a potential reader? Nothing. Nothing. Like, you liked it? Please tell me what about it you
Right.
liked. What was fire about it? Tell me what was good about it. I don't need you to be uh um very researched or very eloquent in
Right.
your thoughts and your view of what you read. I just need you to elaborate
Give me something.
elaborate on it.
We're not asking you to critique books like we do because
Right.
we're insane. But just what he's saying, like, is you're right. That has literally, it's just a stack this freaking big, and it's like mid. Yeah, I like this. Oh, this is fun. What a good read. Why? Why? Explain. Give me something. If you're really trying to promote a book, just saying it's good doesn't do me any good.
Yeah.
And to take what you said a little step further about how it is a disservice to the books, that, and because of how much work goes into those, as a comic book writer myself and someone who is self-published, let me tell you, it is so much work we put in. And don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I love it. I actually wrote, like, and was talking to my artist before we got on this recording, and I'm like, I was so hyped because he did something, and I was like, all right, I need you to adjust this because, and then I told him the story from like 40 issues later that we're gonna do is the reason why I need it to look like this now. And he was like, "Oh, okay, I got it." But it's so much work. There's the letterer, there's the artist, there's an editor, there's getting it printed, and for you to give a one word mid, okay, tell me why it's mid, and if nothing more, for the fact that as a creator, if you don't like it, I want to know why, and maybe I can do better next time. Because most comic book creators, at least the ones that I've seen and talked to, if one book isn't working, they're going to try to do another one. They're going, if this didn't work for X, Y, and Z, when they get the opportunity to do the next book, they won't do X, Y, and Z to make sure that maybe it's going to be different and better. So it does a disservice on so many levels to just give it a nonchalant whatever answer. And I want to say this, maybe we're the ones that are wrong. Maybe we're wrong because obviously we're not sponsored. We're not getting paid to do it. So maybe we're the idiots here. And if that is the case, I'll be a dumb fucking idiot the rest of my goddamn life. Just saying.
I
Just saying. I prefer our method a lot better.
Yeah, I'm not saying that we know better, or
Right.
that the other content creators that have chosen this route are not successful, right? Because they are, right? Like, a lot of
Sure.
the people that do content this way, they get more views than I do. They have more
Yep.
followers than I do, right? And all I'm asking here is that you put a little bit more into what you say about these books, because
Right.
comic books are so complex in everything that goes into the makeup of like one single issue, right? Like, um
Absolutely.
and we can talk about this for days, right? Like,
Yeah.
page structure, paneling, right? Like, plotting, right? Lettering,
Lettering. Yep.
color theory, um, cover artists, interior artists, pencilers, inkers, right? And this is inkers are becoming like a thing of the past, but they're still around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Because some people still only draw a physical and they get it scanned, and then an inker comes in and inks it so that it can be done with the color.
right.
Like there's
The
so
difference
much
between
that gets in.
um, 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 digital art and uh, classic art, right? With pencils and inks versus like this is it's an art style. It's an art form, and this medium deserves so much better than
Yes.
a one word review from anyone, right? Like, and I'm not asking to for you to like elaborate and give me all and throw all the flowers at every single. No, if it sucks and it's buns, tell other people why it's buns to you, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that's what I generally have a problem with, um, as a consumer, as a somebody that's consuming your content, right? Because I if I had it my way, I would go to content creators and I would receive their point of view or their take on a certain comics, and I will like have some type of make some type of informed decision based on your take, right? Because I'm not only do content myself, but I consume content from other people, and whenever I see that they're not putting effort into explaining what they think about what they read, um, it makes me feel a little sad because, listen, in this country, in the good old US of A,
America.
60% of adults read at a sixth grade level or below, right? So that just tells me that more than half the people out there not only can read uh, uh, at their proper or at a higher level, but not that also tells me that their interpretation of media and their media literacy is also not there, right?
Yep.
So
And we covered that in depth on an earlier episode because
so
it was part of this keeps it's a recurring theme.
right. So this is just me encouraging everyone, right? This is all across the board to put a little bit more of sass, a little bit more of work into what you want to say or what you think about the medium.
No, I couldn't agree more. And and when it comes to and that's why I changed the name of or doing a Ultimate Wolverine critique because I think we need to start differentiating completely, and we're gonna own the fact that we don't when we do a review, we critique it. We talk about sentence structure, we talk about the panels, we talk about the artwork, what we did like, what we didn't like, specific scenes, and why those specific scenes meant something to us. And sure, we take it to another level. I think it gives you a better chance to really understand what we're talking about and decide whether or not you want to consume the same content. And I hope that one day we can all just start reading comics again and just enjoying it. Because it seems to me, and this is the last thing we're going to say on this. We're already half hour in, and I want to get to Ultimate Wolverine. Um, but back before all of this became like a business on every front, because comics are always a business for the publishers and stuff, but now it's become a business for the collectors, for the buyers, for every single piece of your life. It's a business now, and it's not about just enjoying what you're reading or enjoying what you're buying. It's you're buying it to flip it. You're buying it to make content about it. Like it's become a job. I think we need to get back to just doing it because we love it. And that's my final piece on the toxicity of the new comic book day.
Speaking of loving it, one of the few ongoing series that we collectively love here in Planet Nerdtooine is Ultimate Wolverine, which we are currently what issues 9 and 10 are about to cover. by
Yeah,
Chris
we're gonna cover 9
Condon
and 10 today.
and Alex Capuzio.
And 11 just came out. So by the time it next rolls around, we should have another two issues because initially, I don't know if we can claim all the credit, but we did beg Marvel to extend this run. It was first supposed to be what, 8, and then it was extended, no, 6, and then it was extended to 10, and then it was extended to 16,
I think
right?
it was
Or is it
6,
8?
12, and 16.
There we go. 6, 12, and 6. It just kept getting extended, and we are so happy here on Planet Nerdtooine about that because this is one of the especially of the big two that both of us are absolutely in on. Like physical copy, I get multiple covers. Like I literally just ordered 8, 9, 10, and 11 cover A's again, just because. Like, all right, I'll make sure I have all the cover A's. I know I've got the earlier cover A's, but I think 10 I only got one variant and I didn't pick up the cover A. So I was like, you know what? I saw a set of all of them for a reasonable price. So I was like, I'm just gonna buy it. Now I know for sure that I have all the cover A's. And not because I'm gonna sell them.
I got
This
cover
is one of the ones that I'm
A's
keeping.
and like the first 6 variant covers that Laniel Francis Yu did, which was like a
I have a few of those too, yeah.
close up on like a specific character. So once he stopped, that's where I stopped getting variants because
I
I got
actually think I have the one of those the cover the first issue 1 Lee and you signed by Condone, if I'm not mistaken.
see, now you're flexing on me.
Yeah.
Now you're being toxic.
Toxic comic fandom.
Oh my god.
But yeah, no, Ultimate Wolverine has been fantastic on almost every front. I will have a little gripe that we'll talk about in issue 10. We get to issue 10 right a little bit here. But I want to start off, Ultimate Wolverine. We got the first pictures of the Ultimate Sentinels. Them some great, like, I think this is probably the coolest Sentinel design that we've ever had. I mean, it doesn't beat the original cool, like old school. Those still always hold a place in my heart. Don't get me wrong, but like we talk about just straight on cool, like had just like that wow factor. Yeah, these are on point. What do you think?
I think these Sentinels are like the design are multi-layer, right? Because like they have a familiar look to them, like with the blues and the purple and the way they're generally designed. They got that familiar look. But when you take a moment to actually, look at them, you'll see that there's something sinister about these Sentinels, and it's the fact that they are like half android and half a mutant that have been captured in the past by the Eurasian Republic. And the the easiest to spot in issue number 9 is Cyclops, because when he
Uh-huh.
first appeared, this Sentinel first shows up like they're blasting somebody through a window, and then when you see the actual Sentinel, he has the head of Cyclops like right in the torso, and he's still like
Yep.
smoking red from the eyes. So immediately you're like, oh my god, that's where this world's Cyclops is, in the body of a Sentinel. But
Literally in a Sentinel.
yeah, but then when you look to the Sentinel next to it, it has like the torso of a person underneath the armor.
Yeah.
So that's also somebody else inside.
Can you figure out who the hell that was? That chest piece. I'm like, it's not Iron Man, obviously, because he's not a mutant. But like, who? I couldn't figure out who the hell that was.
I don't know. I don't know either, because I was just
Maybe.
taking
Oh wait, you know who it may have been? His brother.
um
You know the one that
Havoc.
did the yeah. Maybe it was Havoc of this
I
world.
don't know, because he didn't last long either.
No, yeah,
Wolverine shredded it to
Wolverine
pieces.
destroyed that man.
Yeah,
Whoever it was, it don't matter because they dead now. Like, but I really think this issue was really cool because it kind of had like a throwback, like caper kind of feel to it. Because what they did was the Resistance, they got a Sentinel carrier and they kind of like warped it to their own
They turn it into a
needs,
Trojan
put the
horse.
one.
They turn it into
Yeah,
a
literally,
Trojan
they made
horse, and they
they
travel to one of the factories where these Sentinels were being mass produced, and they basically infiltrated there in their
they
own
all just
Sentinel. And
jumped out of his chest. It was so cool. Like I said, it gave me, like you said, Trojan horse. It kind of like was a throwback to old school military tactics with all this advanced technology involved too. But like, I really thought that was genius. And the reason why they were attacking this is because it was obviously because they were building sentinels there, but they also revealed that there was a gamma bomb that was made by uh what was his name? Alexei? No. The Rasputin brother. I can't think of his name all of a
uh,
sudden.
I'll find it for you. Keep going.
Okay. But he was the brother of Dictator X, and who is Colossus, who is the head of the Eurasian government, and he built this facility. So at the center of the facility is a gamma bomb. That the second the alarm is triggered, it
Mikhail,
puts a Mikhail, there we go.
Mikhail
It
Rasputin.
puts a 5-minute timer to where that bomb is going off, unless someone stops it. And what I loved about it was the lettering. It had the alarm blaring across in like the panels, and it was letting everyone know in like while you're reading, this alarm is going off.
Yeah,
They have 5 minutes to do what they got to do, and everyone who's there is gone, including all the secrets that they had there too. So
yeah. So in since the alarm started going off, like in between panels, instead of seeing like gutters, like a black gutter space, it was the lettering like sounding like repeating the sound of the alarm for what like for the rest of the issue, basically until the bomb went off.
yeah,
So that's very
and
creative. I like that too.
yeah, it was beautiful. It kind of reminded me of in Exquisite Corpses when all the flatlines started happening. Like everything's still going on, but those things are kind of like embedded in the what you're reading, so you have to literally your eyes have to go over it, so you see it. You make that e like, oh yeah, this is the bomb's going
Yeah,
off, and
it builds the
we got a
tension.
timer.
It
Let's get this
continues to
done.
like build the
Yeah,
tension as the action and everything's happening. That wah, like you read that and you can make that that sound, distinct sound in your head. Like, yo,
yeah.
these guys
You know
need to get out of
exactly what
here.
that sound is.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I loved how like there when the director and the scientist lady they were talking about, oh, this can't, let's go do an override. This can't be anything really happening. This is the most secure facility in the world. And then poof, like some Nightcrawler magic. There's Wolverine. Like, oh yes, I see you. I'm coming for your ass. And
So
that's when,
the key to that they didn't think that their facility could be infiltrated is because up to that moment, the Mikhail Rasputin he had faith he's dead. That's how he because he kind of like turned his back on his siblings,
his
and
family,
he
yeah.
became like the leader of the resistance, right? This underground movement of mutants trying to fight back. The Eurasian Republic did not know that Mikhail was alive. So if anybody would have been able to infiltrate and know about all of these facilities and weaponry and the workarounds to their security, would have been him. But they did
Yep.
not know until the end of this issue, basically, or the beginning of the next one, that he was in fact alive and leading the resistance.
Right. And it was a very almost needed escalation, I think, because while the resistance is great, in any type of content, you always root for the resistance. But when the resistance finally like makes that first real stand, it turns everything up to 11 and makes it that much better. And we'll see that even more so in issue 10. But what I wanted to say also to point out that they put Legion, the one, in the Sentinel, and literally, when Wolverine was almost falling to his death from that optic blast, well, he probably would have survived anyways because it's Wolverine, but whatever. All of a sudden, you see this Sentinel tentacle just reach out and grab him. It's like, oh, don't worry, I've got you, and puts up like, well, because I forgot. Like I read that line, I was like, oh, they put the one in there. Okay, cool. He's part of the team. Okay, cool. And I was like, oh shit. No, he really part of the team. Like he really reached down there and just grabbed Wolverine and was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah,
And I think it was really cool when Sabretooth was like, "Would you get lost chasing a squirrel?" He's like, "Yeah, something like that." I was like, "Yeah, he definitely went off on his own tangent right there."
yeah, because
Um,
Wolverine is still um, um, he has not really dealt with what happened to him. So every time he sees any of the Rasputins or the scientists that used to handle him as a weapon when he was in the program, he loses it, and that's what happened. Like he kind of like went inside. It's he took like a side quest
he
during the
smelled them.
mission, and he almost
Yeah, he was like, he was doing it, and he was like,
cost them the mission if it wasn't for the one um, saving him and like reeling him back in so they could like finish what they were supposed to do and get out because they were on a timer, like you
"Yeah."
said. But it happens again on issue 10, and it's gonna happen again in issue 11. Like Wolverine just loses all his bearings whenever he sees one of them.
Well, actually, I think he may have conquered it a little bit in issue 10. We can roll right into issue 10 with talking about that because um, I, I loved this opening for issue 10 of Ultimate Wolverine with Sabretooth like kind of like messing with him, and then basically like they have this heart to heart. Sabretooth, and this is what again, we spoke about this a couple episodes ago. I love this version of Sabretooth so much. So much. Like he's like an old father. Like it's amazing. So earlier in the series, he saved two young mutants and they stayed with him with the resistance in Chernobyl. And he's like, I'm taking Artie and Leech and I'm getting out of here. And it's just this really, it's like they're my, I don't have anyone, they don't have anyone, so you know what, I'm getting them out of here. We've lost so much in this war, these two are not going to be the next ones.
Right.
I'm getting
And
out,
that was
but
the main
before I
thing. That
do,
was the main thing for him. Like, yes,
yeah,
he's a grizzly, battle tested, battle hardened soldier, but he knows what war brings, right? And it's loss. And he thought that it was unfair for children to um, suffer the consequences of war like they are, right? He couldn't care less about him, Logan, or any of the other mutants that are soldiering on. But the fact that they have children now and he's responsible for them because, like you say, he's the one who saved them. um, he wants to do better for them. So
yeah.
he's walking
And
up.
it wasn't about running away from the fight. He just knew that
If he
he
stayed,
had
the
to,
kids were not gonna make it.
they're gonna die.
Yeah,
And because Sabretooth and Wolverine in in most renditions, including this one, they have great healing factor. So they are probably gonna make it through no matter what. These kids don't. And Sabretooth was literally almost putting himself aside to make sure that these kids had a chance.
yeah,
Um, and I don't think there's ever been a Sabretooth that's done that before. And I think that's why this is so fresh and so like endearing because that's kind of like what Wolverine kind of used to do. You know what I mean? Like he would take like a young rogue or a young mutant under his wing, Kitty, and help them, grow. And instead, this version, Ultimates, we've got Sabretooth filling that role.
yeah.
And I love that so much.
And not only like help the younglings to do better for themselves, but the Sabretooth is growing as well as a person because he could have stayed. He could have stayed and continue to be the soldier and the weapon that they need him to be. But now he cares about others, just like he cared for
Yeah.
Wolverine. Now, he has these, little children that are stuck in the middle of all this. And instead of sending them away, where, he couldn't possibly know if, they would have survived or they would make it out of the Eurasian Republic, he gonna take them out himself, and he's gonna make sure that they have a better life than he did and everybody else there. So that's some growth. That's some growth from for a character
Absolutely.
that you know and you can assume that has been just focused on this fight, on this battle for survival this whole time, and finally he had enough because he couldn't stood there and lose children
Yeah.
anymore. So that's pretty cool. That's and that's implied in the text. It's not necessarily Sabretooth saying all those
Right.
words, but before he leaves, he does something pretty cool. He gives to Logan this universe version of the Muramasa blade or the Ebony blade. I'm not sure what it's called nowadays, but typically it's the Muramasa blade, which is like the sword that can cut somebody and negate their healing factor, right?
Yeah.
And
No, and I don't know if did you read that little like news blurb at the end
yes,
about it? I like how they kind of said that it also like affects they call it a cursed blade, like it affects the users, and I think that I hope that comes into play because I love that when an enchanted weapon like corrupts the user and they have to fight the hero has to fight against it to do like I love that trope. It's one of my
which is the
favorites.
same in the Earth 616 when the Muramasa debuted for the first time. Everybody that held the blade outside of like their rightful owner was like consumed by the spirit of the blade and they turned evil or they were just going on rampage and stuff like that. In this world, there's a news clipping at the end of the issue about how this blade belonged to Hinokuni's emperor Sunfire, and it was reported stolen from one of his museums or whatever he kept, wherever he kept it. It was stolen, and nobody knew where it was. And then, lo and behold,
It was
Sabretooth
Sabretooth.
had it.
Well, because you know why? And this comes back to what his initial promise to Logan was that he would kill him if he ever got captured. He needed a way to do so. So he had to go find this blade because
Exactly.
they do explicitly say it in the text this time as well that it can hurt the only thing that can kill I think what do you call them regenerators or healers. He said something like a specific term I've never seen before for him. Um, but I loved how before Sabretooth starts to walk away, he goes, yeah, I could definitely. He's like, I'll give you this blade on one condition. One condition. You don't tell him that I left. I can do that. And they do the bro handshake. Like that was. I thought that was a nice little touch. I was like, yeah, that's exactly how Wolverine and Sabretooth would say goodbye to each other.
Oh, the way Sabretooth says it, specifically, he says, they also say it may be the only thing that can actually kill one of us healers.
Healers. Yeah, I like that. Like because that's always kind of been the lore of the Muramasa blade, but to have it specifically said like that, like almost like a legend, it was a real nice touch. I thought, like, and again, and I don't. This is the first one that's been read like that because I thought that was really cool too. The blade,
Yeah, no, it's
because
cool.
usually it's just like a red. It looks like a regular sword usually, but this is blood red. Oh, so nice.
Yeah,
'Cause I know initially it looked like a regular katana
yeah.
basically.
Though when he first debuted it was like a regular katana. I thought the blade was like black, basically. That was it. They didn't look special or anything, but this one looks insane.
Yeah, I think that it's a good design choice because it like really like is vibrant on the page whenever it's being wielded. But when this whole thing as this is happening, right then we see what? Oh no! First we found out that Colossus and his director Petrovich figured out that the base was in Chernobyl because they had all these scans, they had all this stuff that was like, oh, there's nothing there. But then they got visual reports like, wait, no, it's still there. But how did they hide from us this whole time? So now they know where the base is. And as Sabretooth is trying to leave, he's got the kids, they're walking down, la da di da, we're gonna leave. Wolverine's at the top of the exhaust of the power plant, like, yeah, go, my friends. And then they see missiles. and just what 10-15 missiles just hit the top of the exhaust. It was kind of like
The tower, yeah.
reminiscent of X-Men Origins, where he's fighting Deadpool on the top
The chimney
of
thing,
the other,
yeah.
yeah, the other power plant. Um,
And the whole
and
thing comes crashing down.
comes crashing down. And one of my favorite panels in this entire series so far was right then when he's falling, and then you see the blade spinning, and then you see him on the ground with the blade sticking out of the ground, but the blade goes, the hilt actually sticks up and breaks through that panel and is like right in front of the spinning part. I, when I saw that, I stared at that for a good 3-4 minutes. I was like, wow, that is beautiful. And I'm glad that there's something that was so good in this issue, because I do have a teensy weensy little complaints about the art in this book. There were a few things that kind of threw me off, like early in issue 10. Wolverine kind of looked like he was straight out of the Charlton Heston Planet of the Apes.
When he opened the sword,
He did not look like Wolverine. Okay,
he looked like one of the
and then
apes from Planet of the
and
Apes. You're
then
like, ooh, ooh,
there
ooh,
was a
ooh.
couple. There was a couple of parts where Magic looked like she got beat up by a world class fighter in one with eyelids, and then the other one looked like a Neanderthal.
Magic
And
looked like
I
she
get
had
it,
a cinder block for a head.
bro, and I get it, and part of the reason why I notice and pick on things like that is because I had to do that with my comic book. And full disclosure, and to be completely transparent, I have that luxury because I don't any deadlines I have are self-imposed. And if we don't hit them, oh fucking well. But Marvel has to keep churning these out, and I understand. Little things like that don't take away from the overall comic experience for most people. But for someone like me, I was like, wait a minute, hold on. And I'm looking close, I'm like, damn, that's
That's
messed up.
yeah.
Like I know as a person who approves the art for my book, I would have sent that back. I'd be like, hey Martin, bro. And I told him this too earlier. I actually sent him the two examples that I sent you. And I was like, see, because he started giving me shit. He's like, are you really talking shit about an X-Men artist right now? I'm like, okay, hold on. Just like you did. You were like, well, maybe that's just the art stuff. Hold on. I've got two examples
Yeah,
right
it's
here.
not consistent. So if her head would have looked the same in like throughout the issue, then okay, you can say okay, that's the
Right.
style or the sign that they wanted to go for the character,
But
but it's not.
then later in the issue, you see like this part of her face and it's like stunning and the eye is just vibrant. I'm like, that's gorgeous.
Right.
Who was that?
And in the other one, everything looks good, but her face looks like she went 12
Oh my
months
god.
with
The big
Tyson.
one,
Yeah,
the armor looks so good.
and then
Like
the
like
face.
you said, literally everything up to the neck was perfect. And then it was like, yeah, okay, this is ugh. I wanted to say it, and I also wanted to do that so that at least everyone knows we're not just, oh, it was good, all of it was perfect. If there's something we don't like, we're gonna talk about it. But and
And that we did
granted, we're
not
not
like.
getting paid, so no, we did not like that at all. Like I was gonna let it slide completely with the Wolverine at the beginning. I was like, all right, you know what, whatever. He just woke up. You know, maybe it's whatever. I'll let it slide. But then, literally, I think it was like 2 or 3 pages later, I'm like, Magic looks pretty bad here. Holy crap. Okay. Um, but that doesn't mean it's bad, and nothing can be perfect. They have deadlines that I could never get my stuff done in
Especially
that
this
time frame,
ultimate line of books, they come out
because
a
because they're
month.
ending it.
They come out every month, no delays or nothing. So
Yeah. And I'm not, and again, I don't want to seem like I'm talking shit. I'm just saying, like, it was, this was, I think this is one of the few times where I might take this out the running for one of my books of the year because of things like that. And I was thinking about like Exquisite Corpses doesn't have any issues like that, where the art is just lower quality than the other ones. And I think that's because of the art style that Walsh is using. It's not super detailed, but it's the same throughout.
Yeah,
so
no.
it's part of the art style. Where here, there's some really detailed stuff, and there's some that's not, and it's like, you
But
know,
here is very noticeable because the feeling artists in this run, their style is not similar to um, to Capuzio's style, which is Capuzio's technically like the main artist for the series, right? Like issue 10 is from the filler artist, and you can spot like this, little differences here and there because their styles are so different. Like Alex Lynn's, which is very good. I do like this style. It's just not even close um, aesthetically talking with Capucios, because Capucios is he's heavy on the shadows, on the darks, on
yep,
he's very greedy and I don't know, the tones of it, everything is like dark. And Alex Lynn's art is a little bit, well, a lot more colorful and a lot more
yeah,
clean with less shadows and less uses of shades of black to accentuate what's happening in the action, in the panels, in the talking. Like this one's a little bit more cleaner, so you can spot the differences
right,
quicker, I should say, than when you're like seeing the same artist throughout an entire series. And in the case of Exquisite Courses, I think there's been maybe one or two issues where there's been a fill-in artist, but their style is very similar to that of Matt Walsh's. So you don't go from from like dark and gritty to like bold and colorful from one issue to
right.
one other.
No, but back to the actual story of issue 10. After the missiles come in and Wolverine's on the ground, who shows up but Omega Red and all of the whole ground troops ready to assault Chernobyl. And I don't know, there's something about Omega Red versus Wolverine that just makes me so happy. Like it's because it's not like Sabretooth and Wolverine where it's like a blood feud in almost every rendition. They just don't like each other.
Right.
Like they every
There's no
time they
reason,
come across each
no
other,
reason
it's
needed.
just it's on from the get go and on sight.
On site,
On
just cuz,
sight.
just cuz.
Wait. I think I smell. Is that Omega Red? Shing! Like he's just ready to go. Um, and I did like how Omega Red kind of, like you said, he kind of like went off because he kind of he baited him. He's like, "Oh look, our little winter soldier. Did you you forget your way home?" And oh my god, when I'd say some of the best fights that we've had was in this issue. I love that when Omega Red and Wolverine were going toe to toe. They did it two separate times. They had the initial clash where Wolverine just cut them all up, and then Omega Red just sucked some energy. I need life, and just pulls all this energy from his own comrades. And if you look closely, you can see some of the ones that didn't get snatched up, like, oh, like what the hell's going on? Like, which little tiny details I really like. But then when that happens, he's basically telling him like, "Yo, I'm gonna kill you." He's like, "I don't think so." And then all of his X-Men assemble. Man, you know how bad I wish he would have said something like, "To me, my resistance." Oh my god, I would have loved that so much, but we didn't get that.
I really like how like you said, Omega Red was like rage baiting Wolverine because at one point I think he said, "Oh, don't worry, we'll get Doctor Prostovich to scramble your brains again and get you all scored away back to when you get back home, something like that." And Wolverine does not like that at all. That's when he tries to go for the Muramasa blade to end this quickly.
Oh, and that whole the structure of those panels too, when he's running, trying to get to it, and then right before he grabs it, Omega Red gets him with his tentacles and pulls him up. Like it and I just it's so I don't know if it's maybe because he has some type of healing factor too. He can take these big
Oh, when
hits
he had him
and keep
hanging
going.
upside down.
Yeah, and then he cut yo, man. When I tell you, I was not expecting to like I literally looked over that entire fight like 4 times. I was like, this is some Corey. Like, I want to see that live action now, even for 10 seconds, like, because that was just beautiful. And when and it looks like, I don't know if you noticed, but did they rehabilitate Angel? Because
Ah,
when they had all of the resistance behind him in the top corner above his right shoulder, there's like a being flying. It definitely looks like Angel, which is really awesome if they were able to somehow, the one probably fix the scramble, because we saw he freaking straight up killed freaking Beast and what's her name a couple issues ago, and it was nuts.
um,
I couldn't tell for sure.
it looks like Angel for
Right? That's the one thing I will say. Not that these details are needed, but like, uh, is that Angel? I don't know for sure. Who was that other X5 that had the chess piece on? I don't know. Does it matter? No. But I'm curious as hell still. You know what I mean? I kind of just want to know, because I'm that weird dude that just wants to know everything. But I think it was. But one thing I thought was a little interesting, um, was that Iceman was there,
mm-hmm, I don't know where.
um, out of nowhere. And I'm sorry, but he with him and Gambit, um, who's they've decided we're taking over Eurasia. Is Colossus really stopping them? Like, or even Magic? Because those are Omega level mutants. Like,
But that's the thing.
Iceman literally froze Mephisto's world, which is basically hell.
But
Like,
that's the thing. They've been kidnapping and using mutants against mutants. Like
right,
that's what Wolverine was, right? Like when he was the Winter Soldier. So it's not like it was just like the Rasputins like holding this, this grip on the neck of
true.
the entire people. Like they not only they had the military, but those Sentinels were powered by mutants too. So they had like their own mutants on their side to fight to like keep the resistance down.
No, see though, I feel like the Sentinel part is a new development in this world, because the way I read it was that they have finally figured out how to combine them. Like, it kind of made me feel like they tried to do that with a little bit with Angel, but it was Angel was like the midway point, where you had Wolverine as the Winter Soldier as the start of this kind of timeline of how they try to use mutants to their advantage. Brainwash, all of that, great. And then enhancement that didn't take because it scrambled his brain. And then, no, we're just going to put the part of the mutant into the Sentinel and have the Sentinel run it.
But
I feel like that was the progression, and these Sentinels are
I
new.
want to say that Logan was not the first. Um,
Oh, no, 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 no. Yeah, he's definitely not the first, but I mean, that we've seen in this story arc is what I mean.
no, but like in this world, Logan was definitely not the first Weapon X uh, um, experiment. He was just the first one to be successful because like not only like they mentioned
Right.
that the subjects for the experiments were not surviving, but in the free comic book day issue from last year, the Ultimates they like break into a vault for the Maker, and along like a bunch of like relics and statues of like um, dead people that were supposed to be heroes, there was a statue of a like adamantium skeleton, and it had a nameplate on the bottom that said Weapon X. I used to think before Ultimate Wolverine came out, I used to think that that was the Wolverine, the Logan of this universe, that the makers just stopped from becoming Wolverine after the Weapon X
Right.
program. But then now, when you put it together, the Weapon X program or whatever the whatever it's called in the Eurasia Republic, um, they have been testing and trying different things, and they all failed. Like Logan was the first successful Winter Soldier that they have produced through their program, and then Archangel, what they did with the brain of Xavier, what they did with Jean Grey, like they had all these different type of experiments And then the latest one, as you said, was the merging of um, mutants with Sentinels. So
It's crazy.
yeah, and whatever else
Which
they were
and that's
doing
not the
to
first time that's
Legion,
happened because they had the what's it called those kind of Sentinels in Days of Futures Past the movie. You know what I mean? They like the DNA kind of thing. They kind of took that premise and like turned it up to
yeah,
11.
no, they went
Instead
crazy
of
with
doing
it.
the DNA, we're gonna just take his freaking head off and just shove it into this dude's torso. Go ahead, like
Yeah,
that was
don't
crazy.
think
Like
about
that
it
was
too
one of
much.
the
Just
most
put the head there
insane.
and make sure that it blasts the optic beam. Don't think about it too much.
Can it still fire the optic blast?
Yeah,
That's all that I need to know.
that's all we need.
Like it's kind of funny they didn't just like take his like the common thought would be I guess to just put the head on the top, but no, they shoved it into the
Yeah,
middle. Like
yeah,
it was so
because
weird.
they're
I didn't expect
terrible,
that at all.
horrible people. That's why they don't. And like having the head in the torso is like a more daunting image, and
Yeah,
and it will haunt you
absolutely.
more because like it's not like, oh, you know, they took his head and put in this android. No, they took this android and they stuffed his head in the torso so you can see it um at eye
That's
level,
crazy.
right?
Yeah, and then the way this issue ended too, I thought was really awesome because you have all of these like quick cut battle scenes, right? And that kind of bleeds into Colossus just sitting in his chair, looking out at everything, and then who was the kid? Is the one of his generals came in and was like, "I have news about the Chernobyl operation." He's like, no one's returned, but this box from your brother. And he reads the note. Dearest brother and sister, I must return your gift as I found it unacceptable. And he opens it up, and it's Omega Red's severed head. And the issue ends with Colossus going, "Never send a Rosovich to do a Rasputin's job." I was like, "Oh, I like that," because like it's that big bad. Like it kind of gave me that like how which makes no sense, but you know how when Thanos showed up in that post credit scene,
I'll
fine,
do it myself.
I'll do it
Well,
myself.
hold on,
Like that's kind of how it felt.
hold on. The that dialogue bubble had air quotes. So my take was that Mikhail wrote that as in, oh, if you want to kill me, you're gonna have to come yourself. Because like
Right.
this whoever this is that is not our family, this dog that works for you, he's not good enough to kill me. It'll take you and our sister to take care of me because I'm a Rasputin.
Yeah,
So put some respect on my
bitch.
name.
No, I thought like what these last issues 9 and 10 did really well was those last panels really like gave you it was a concrete ending to that part of the story but made you want more because the issue 9 ends with the Trojan Sentinel carrier flying away from the gamma bomb, and then this ends with Rasputin basically like, fine, I'll do it myself. Like it's really one of those things where it's like, okay, that's done, what comes next I need to know.
Oh, bro,
And that's something that Chris
you're not ready
Condone.
for the next issue.
Oh, listen. I'm gonna give a little behind the scenes. So Year has read all the stuff that we've covered. Year's 100% caught up, and I'm catching up with the podcast. So like, for instance, there's a new issue of Exquisite Corpus I haven't read yet. He's like, "Oh, you're not ready," and then now it's Ultimate Wolverine. It's like, "You're not ready," and it's like, you know what? You're right, because these books are so good, and what sets these two books like, in my opinion, granted, I say this many times, I'm not one of those Wednesday warriors that's buying every single run. But for me, these two books, Ultimate Wolverine and Exquisite Corpses, on another level. They are really well done. If you're shocking me with every issue, you're doing very well. And both of these, especially Ultimate Wolverine, like I did not expect to be surprised in this story like I have been, and I think it's a real breath of fresh air, in my opinion. because we talked many times on here about how a lot of the comic books now are industry profit driven versus good stories and all that, and these two seem to be doing pretty well profit wise, and are also really well done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think Marvel made the right call when they open up the floodgates for this alternate universe for creators to do whatever they wanted, right? And I think I heard it from Peach Momoko on an interview she did with Comic Tropes. Basically, when she had her meeting with Hitman and Cebulowski, the editor, I think that's his name, um, they said, you can do whatever you want. You can tell this story however you want it. You don't have to worry about what's going on in the overall art in the overarching story
right,
in the universe. This is the your only limitation. You cannot use these characters because they are going to be or they are part of these titles that are involved in like this all the general story or area in this world.
right.
Like you like for example, you can't touch Spider-Man. Spider-Man's busy with the Kingpin's Sinister Six in New York. He's unlikely to be featured in Hinokuni in the Hinokuni region in Japan. So um,
Which is kind of cool. There's a connection now, well, like 100% between Ultimate Wolverine and that part of the region because of the blade was stolen directly
right,
from them.
you if you want like if the creators wanted to do like those little threads that connect the overall universe, by all means they could do that, right? And Momoko did that, right? Like one of her the characters in her story is a fan of Ororo in Africa, and she modeled her like her attire after Aurora, right? And that's how Aurora's been featured in that book. And things of that nature, like these little cameos was like, oh my God, look what's happening over there. Or, oh, I saw in the TV, you know, apparently there's superheroes now in America, stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I think they made the right call by allowing creators, writers to, you know, just go bunkers, go crazy, do
Only for them to shove a ending on it real freaking quick. And as you said, it must be that they don't like money. And speaking of money, I think we are going to now use that as a segue to roll into our final topic of the day: comic book piracy. First and foremost, pirating comic books is illegal, and it is not something that we condone. That being said, if these people who are doing it are gonna do it, whether or not someone like me or Year tells them it's bad, and I don't fucking know where society went fucking wrong. When you're doing a crime, don't record it. Like, it brings me back to like the people who were doing the ATM glitch. Nah, that's fraud, motherfucker. Like, and you're on TikTok like, yo, look at me, look at the glitch. No, you're giving them proof of what you're doing.
yeah, you're doing the investigation of your own crime
Like
for the police.
nothing me or you or anyone else can say will stop someone from pirating a book that they're gonna pirate anyways. But if you're gonna fucking do it, shut the fuck up. God.
Listen, I I don't I stay away from making content about like online discourse like this, right? Because after a couple of days, I see a lot of different takes from different sides, and I find myself living vicariously through like some other people's content, right? Because I do share a lot of takes with people. So if I feel like everything that needed to be said has been said, I'm not gonna put my 2 cents in. But some of my favorite takes were like, I remember there was this creator that said, "Oh, like who? Why does it matter? Like Marvel and DC are multi-billion corporations. Like pirate their shit. Who gives a fuck?" And I'm like, uh, it's it's difficult to engage with this type of takes because they lack nuance, right? And
Yep.
we here in Planet Nerdtooine, we live in our favorite
We
city.
literally live
Yeah,
in the nuance.
nuance, nuance town, nuanceville, nuance city, right?
It's a whole continent
Yeah.
on planet Nerdtooine.
um, are Marvel and DC multi-billion, million, whatever the case may be, corporations? Yes.
Sure.
Is piracy? Does piracy affect the corporations? Maybe not enough for them to like lose money in a way that would affect them as a corporation, but you are taking like the active, like the faces of the people that are affected from piracy, right? And this is something I was discussing with a friend or earlier today. Like, for example, if you like, let's say, reading comics in collected editions, like say like your favorite way to consume comics is trade paperbacks, right? A series is not going to be collected and printed out in a trade paperback if it got canceled because it didn't sell, right? A lot of the runs and stories that are in print year in and year out, or they get collected after they've been done, is because they sold.
Yep.
They had to hit a benchmark in order for those publishers to say, okay, this 4 issue, this 6 issue run got cut short, didn't get extended, or it was just supposed to be short, but it's so well. There's a market for people that are
Yep.
interested in this creator, in this writer, or in this character, and therefore we see an incentive in printing it out again in a second print, in a third print, or collecting it in in a soft cover paperback or a hardcover, or in an omnibus with like the rest of a run, or the rest
Yep.
or stories for those characters. If we all pirate DC today for the rest of the year, a lot of those comics are just going to get canceled
Yep.
straight up.
Well,
And
I mean,
then,
like I think they said I saw a post about the Green Arrow book that got just everyone was up in arms that it got canceled. It's one of the most pirated books series
yeah,
in the last year.
so that's a good
So it's
point.
like,
The
I
creator,
mean,
the one of the creators of that run, they said that they went into one of these pirate sites and they saw that there was like 8,000 clicks, let's say, on the books for Green Arrow, right? Those are 8,000 sales that were stolen away through piracy, right? But maybe, who knows, those 8,000 buyers of those issues, for however many issues it was, they could have kept that series alive. Like maybe another four, another six, maybe it could have still be going, right? But that is the issue with pirating, right? Like
like
you're
the best selling book right now, DCKO for last month. It was the best selling book of the month. It was. I saw that it was on one of the sites. It had been viewed 80,000 times.
see that's
On top of the sales, it was the top selling book, and people are still pirating it.
right.
Granted, you know, do whatever you're gonna do. We're not going to change. If you're pirating books, we're not going to change your mind. If you think anyone who pirates books is scumbag, we're not going to change your mind. Nothing we say can do that. But when you look at and sure, these are big time companies and they won't feel it initially and will just reboot it and try again and over again. And that's part of what people like us complain about when they do just cut a run short and reboot it to hype up those sales for the next issue one. Like, it's not a direct, like, you pirate it, they lose money. But the effects of piracy will
The
affect the
creators,
books that come
they
out,
and
the
yeah,
creators,
like
and
take for example,
yeah,
like let's say Steve Orlando, who's been writing Scarlet Witch for 4 years now, right? Like, and let's say Marvel has been cutting those runs short and rebooting them because of lack of sales, right? If Marvel gets to the point where they keep rebooting this character, they can just say, you know what, Steve Orlando is not a good writer, right?
right.
And maybe it's not the case because a lot of people are not just not buying the book, they're pirating, they're enjoying it, They like what Orlando has been doing for Scarlet Witch for 3 years now, but they've been pirating the book, so they don't support it. That's what Marvel is gonna see. Oh, Scarlet Witch, the character, she doesn't sell, so we're not gonna do more comics for her for the next whatever 10 years. Or Steve Orlando, the writer, he doesn't sell, like he don't move comics like that, so we're not gonna give him any more work here in Marvel, right? That those are the effects of piracy. Um, like Wonder Woman, even though she's a household name, she should have like the same amount of titles ongoing coming out every month as Superman, as Batman, but she doesn't. Why? Because a lot of people that enjoy her stories are possibly not supporting with their money. So as a publisher, you're not gonna take the risk of doing sensation comics or um, Amazon's whatever or Wonder Girl whatever, because there's the money's not there. The financial support behind the that character and the character's lore is not there, right? So if you love Wonder Woman and you are online complaining that she only have like two titles, if you want to count Absolute Wonder Woman, but you're pirating the books to enjoy them, you're part of the problem, right? You're part of the reason why she only has two books. 10,
Now,
10 years
I
ago.
completely agree. I completely agree with you, but I want to say that I think that Batman and Superman should have less titles as well,
But the
but
reason why they have so much is because
because
people
they sell.
buy them,
Yeah. Oh
right?
no, no, absolutely.
Like
I
you
get it.
can blame DC and Marvel all you want, but if those are that's your goose with the golden egg, you're gonna print out, like you're printing
Absolutely.
money. Why would you stop, right? Wonder Woman maybe in 10 years ago had like Wonder Woman, you had the Trial of the Amazons, Yara had
Hmm.
Wonder Girl series. She had during the New 52, she was in the Justice League in her Wonder Woman title, and she was paired up with unfortunately with Superman during the New 52. So that was another title that she was featured in as a main character, right? And you have like Wonder Woman had a boom in the last 10 years. Like Nubia had her own solo run.
Hmm.
Hippolyta was ascended to godhood in Olympus. Um, you have Donna out there, Cassie out there, Yara came up, right? Regardless, of the how she was critically received because of the nuances of how they treated the character as a Brazilian Amazonian. That set aside, Amazon lore was expanding, right?
Hmm.
She had two live action movies. She had maybe like two animated movies during the DCU extended universe or whatever it was called. And we fast forward to today, and it's only King's Wonder Woman run and Kelly Thompson's Absolute Wonder Woman. That's it,
Yeah.
right? If you're pirating even those, you are contributing to the issue of not having more Wonder Woman stuff.
Right.
And
No, and as I want to say though, as a creator, um, I will admit that what I'm about to say applies to people just like me and not most other creators. But I personally, as a creator, wish people would want to pirate my shit. But if you want to pirate my shit, don't bother. Just send me a message and I'll just fucking send it to you because I want you to read my shit.
right.
But at the same time, it's every little bit, even on a massive scale, does affect the future of that line. And for the take to be, well, Marvel and DC make so much fucking money, it doesn't fucking matter. You sound like a fucking moron. And I'm sorry. And if you take that personally, come at me, bro. Because I'm done. I'm done with these like, oh, they're a big company, doesn't matter. You clearly don't know how the companies work. And every little bit affects their bottom line, affects what they do, and affects how they move forward.
Yeah.
And
Piracy affects
it's
from the ground up, right? Like piracy is not
yeah,
gonna affect the executives, the board, the stockholders. It's gonna affect the creators. Because if you pirate a certain, like you pirate a book, the company is going to look down on that and say, oh, this book didn't sell, cancel it, or don't give more work to those creators, or
Yep.
don't, let's not use those characters anymore. Let's move on, or let's just keep around the only stuff that sells, right? So keep that in
But the
mind.
moral of the story, if you're gonna pirate, just fucking shut up, because just like moral of the story, don't pirate. But if you do, don't go bragging online
Keep
how you are doing it, because it's gonna hurt. It's just because all it does is make people like me and Year get angry and make us talk about piracy for 25 fucking minutes. Okay, that's all it's gonna do. And then let's just say, for argument's sake, one day maybe they come looking for the people that were pirating. You got documented proof on your TikTok that you was doing it. Do what you're gonna do and shut the hell up. I mean, I guess it's different because people like you and me, we grew up when all this pirating first started. Because back in the day, they didn't call it pirating; they called it recording off the radio on a cassette disc.
Listen,
It was recording on a
you don't have to
VCR.
share everything you do on social media.
No,
You there's
just
hey,
like we don't need to
listen,
watch you
you can
eat
keep
your
stuff to
sandwich or
yourself, especially your illicit activities. You know what I mean?
like I couldn't imagine, like, all right, I'm gonna go do a crime. But
Let me
first,
live
hold
stream
on.
it. Let me go live.
Hey yo, we live. We're live. We're about to go rob this car, baby. Let's fucking
Yeah.
go. Like, what are you doing?
Yo, chat. Let me know. Should I rob this liquor store right now? Chat. Let me know. Let me know in the chat.
Hey, thanks for the big booms.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
6-7. Stupid shit. Yeah,
Stop.
I had to. I'm gonna slide that shit in every fucking show I
let
can.
me
That
chill.
bullshit.
Let me chill out.
um, but yeah, I mean, again, not to be taken out of context, but we don't support the pirating comics. Um, but nothing we will say will change that if you're going to do it anyways. Just keep it to yourself so people like us don't have to spend a week watching every one of our creator friends give their takes about piracy, because all it's going to do is it just creates more drama for everyone. Do like you said, you don't have to post everything. If if you are reading a comic illegally, keep it to yourself. Who cares? Like, I don't care that you're telling me. I understand the effects of piracy is bad. I care about that. But I don't care if you are doing it, because nothing I can do can change that. So fucking just shut up. If you're gonna commit a crime, don't do it on camera, you dumbasses. All right, you got any final thoughts on any of the drama or the piracy issues that we've had to go over today?
No. I just wish that less people fail for rage bait, especially on TikTok, right? Um, it takes like that. Like whenever people come on your FYP and they have like ridiculous takes, like like fuck Marvel, fuck DC, blah blah blah. They're rage baiting you. They're farming your reaction for views, for likes, and possibly they monetize your engagement, your time on that. So you can always not react. You can always keep it moving. um,
Keep scrolling.
you can always keep scrolling. You can always keep it to yourself.
Yeah, but on that note, um, thank you everyone who stuck with us for this whole show. We did a little bit different. We normally do all the news and stuff first, and then end with the comic critiques. But we felt it was a nice little split up, give you some cool content in the middle, make a little shitty content sandwich.
From the
We got
moment
the bread.
you came back to TikTok, I was like, it's bound to happen. At one point, you're gonna see something that upsets you, and you're gonna want to talk to me, talk it out with me on the podcast. I have not brought any of this stuff up, and
Nope.
I'm I'm plugged in. I know what's happening. I know what's happening, and I never bring any of this stuff to you because like we'll be recording multiple times a week. If we were to react to like
Oh
all
my
the
god.
shenanigans that happen on online comic book discourse.
Yeah, it's definitely it's funny. Yeah, you're right. You have not I'm always like, "Yo, did you see this shit? Did you see that shit? I've had enough. We're recording on the episode. I'm done." And on that note, again, thank you all for stopping by. If you like comic book content, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. We're the best comic book podcast that you don't even know about. So until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.